been red, Senator? Yeah, Moran, that'll be fine. I think they were looking for...
In a makeshift operating room in remote Guatemala, a side of Senator Rand Paul most people have never seen. The eye surgeon on a mission to help the blind and near blind see in a country where more than half the population lives in poverty. He's one of 28 American volunteers organized by the Moran Eye Center in Utah.
But this is an amazing enterprise. We have a surgery center, we got a dental clinic, and we've got a place doing glasses.
Scores of people line up every day for a week, hoping American doctors can give them their sight and their lives back. A 79-year-old great-grandmother hasn't been able to walk for 9 years.
She's the cutest thing.
Then cataracts plunged her into darkness. A farmer just wants to see again so he can work in his fields. A mission to restore sight and hope to the poorest of the poor.
Thank you very much.
And if it all plays well to American voters, it could further Rand Paul's personal mission, too, to position himself for a race for president.
I've been doing, this kind of stuff for 20 years.
But not in a foreign country.
Right. Well, I've been operating on kids from Guatemala for, I think the first kids I operated on were 1996. So this isn't something new that we're doing. But she doesn't really feel anything on this side of her face. A physician is who I am, and, to represent who I am, that's who I am. I'm a physician.
But you just won't always bring camera crews.
Well, depicting who I am, I think, is an important part of presenting a face to the public.
There is no doubt about the humanitarian aspect of this trip. Paul performed dozens of pro bono cataract surgeries over 3 days in a region where there are only 2 eye surgeons for 800,000 people. Chronicling it all are Paul's advertising team.
I'm Rand Paul, and I approve this message.
Whose TV commercials helped him with his upset win for Senate 4 years ago. Also along, a film crew from conservative super PAC Citizens United. With equipment that included a drone for aerial shots, and its co-founder and president, Dave Bossy. Does having Citizens United Dave Bossy there make it look more political?
I think if having Citizens United documentary unit following him around, whether I was there or not, was going to do it. And so, I went to oversee it. I went to experience and see exactly for myself what Rand Paul was about.
Bossy did some charity work of his own, helping to install a water filtration system. But he spent many hours with Senator Paul and gave advice to the film crew. For Paul, too, long hours in the OR were interspersed with interviews, multiple conversations with us over 3 days, where nothing was off limits, including the death of Michael Brown and the unrest that followed.
Let's say none of this has to do with race. It might not, but the belief, if you're African American, you live in Ferguson, the belief is you see people in prison and they're mostly black and brown, that somehow it is racial, even if the thoughts that were going on at that time had nothing to do with race. So there's a very good chance that this had nothing to do with race, but because of all of the arrest and the way people were arrested, that everybody perceives it as, my goodness, the police are out to get us, and so that's why you have to change the whole war on drugs. It's not just this one instance. And I don't know what happened during the shooting, so I'm not going to make a judgment on the shooting, but I do know what's happening as far as you look at who's in our prisons.
It's vintage Rand Paul, the sometimes controversial free market, small government, low taxes libertarian with views that can also appeal to the left, pushing for the demilitarization of police days before President Obama called for a review.
Homeland Security gave $8 million to Fargo to fight terrorism in Fargo, North Dakota. And I say, if the terrorists get to Fargo, we might as well give up. I say that as a joke, but I mean, it's like, what are we doing spending $8 million in Fargo? What are we doing sending a tank? There's an armored personnel carrier in Keene, New Hampshire.
And at a time when the U.S. footprint in Iraq is expanding again, he's quick to provide a contrast to the Democratic presidential frontrunner.
I think the American public is coming more and more to where I am, and that those people like Hillary Clinton, who she fought her own war, Hillary's war, people are going to find that, and I think that's what scares the Democrats the most, is that in a general election, were I to run, there's going to be a lot of independents and even some Democrats who say, you know what, we are tired of war. We're worried that Hillary Clinton will get us involved in another Middle Eastern war because she's so gung-ho. If you want to see a transformational election in our country, let the Democrats put forward a war hawk like Hillary Clinton, and you'll see a transformation like you've never seen.
Ah, fantastico.
Back inside the hospital, less than 24 hours after surgery, bandages are removed and the reactions are heartwarming, even tear-inducing.
Oh, she was.
Just a day before, a farmer couldn't see through cataract-clouded eyes. Then the eye patches come off. One of more than 200 success stories in a week, lives transformed. For all the successes here, Rand Paul was effective but not emotional, something that worries even supporters who know winning primaries is often as much about kissing babies as making policy statements.
He reminds me of doctors I've had who are very matter-of-fact. And I think that's where he gets it, that, you know, he sees a problem, he's trying to fix it, and he moves on.
But you wonder how that'll translate on the campaign trail.
It could be very difficult.
Do you go to Iowa and not shake hands?
That's, I think, the next test.
Dr. Paul's enthusiasm for medicine is palpable, and he's a guy who likes his odds when he's the one controlling the outcome. So if he runs for president, it will be because, like here in the OR, he thinks he's got a real chance of winning.
We'll go to work again today.
Before leaving, Senator Paul had a closed-door meeting with the President and Prime Minister of Guatemala and talked immigration, telling them the immigration problem is not the fault of Guatemala City, but of White House policies. He's also pushing to allow more Americans to adopt Guatemalan children. Let's get some reaction